Hello everybody, welcome to our Self Digital YouTube channel. I'm Simon, for those who don't know me yet, and I'm the host for your React Native live coding series every Wednesday at 8 p.m. But because I had some technical issues for the last couple of weeks, I decided to go for a marathon tonight and actually do live coding streaming for 3 hours straight, just to compensate you guys for those 2 weeks of my absence. And hopefully the quality of the stream is going to be a bit better because I've got a new hardware. I've got a new Mac Mini, so I do believe that the quality of the streams is going to be a bit better and definitely improved, or at least I'm hoping for it. If there is something wrong, please do let me know. Please do comment on the live chat or down below this video, well, this live stream. And yeah, I mean, last time we connected Firebase to our React Native app, so tonight I'm going to live stream 3 separate episodes, and I'm aiming to include Redux integration, and hopefully we can actually get a few users signed up to the users collection in Firebase. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture between Firebase, Redux, and then the last episode is going to be about React Native components, because we're going to actually start working on the sign up and sign in forms. So this is what we are going to be focusing on tonight. And as you can see, I already have the app open. I slightly changed the layout of what you see on the screen. So right now you can see that there is the simulator on the right hand side, and there is a React Native debugger, and also VS Code. Also, as we are already talking about Node, hold on a second, guys. Sorry about that. I just need to move my screen a little. Yeah, just like so. Okay, perfect. I think we are ready to go now. So earlier on today, we uploaded a video to our YouTube channel where I explained all the extensions that I've been using for my VS Code. So for those who want to know what extensions I've been using, and for those who actually want to start a conversation about the extensions for VS Code, please do follow the link to the actual video about the extensions I've been using. It's on our Self Digital YouTube channel, and we can actually talk about it in or below that video. I'm actually happy to hear if you guys use different extensions, or if there is something I don't know I'm missing out on. Please do let me know. I'm happy to check everything out and make sure that that I've got, you know, those tools which I should be using. Right now I'm only using kind of essentials and the ones that are actually almost necessary for me to do my job on a daily basis. And as you can see, the lighting is slightly different as well. I've got a lamp in front of me, just so you can see me well, and so that the light in the background is not that hardcore. So everything is just focused on me and the coding. Right, in the meantime, I'm going to open up the live chat so I can see what you guys what you are commenting on this live stream, if anything, obviously. But yeah, I just wanted to have this this live chat open so I can actually monitor the traffic and your comments, right? So if you have any questions, or if there is something bothering you, just let me know. There we go. Perfecto. Okay, great. So I've got the chat open. I think we are all good to go. So let me just bring this arm down a little. Just so I don't have to sit right next to it. And another thing is that I'm actually going to take the music down a little bit, as it was really loud for me. I guess I could probably just make it a little quieter in there, actually, so I can still keep it on 4 for you, and take it down for me a little so I don't have to shout and actually go deaf. Okay, excellent. So as you can remember, or you might not, we set up Firebase last time. Not sure if I actually checked that in. Potentially I haven't. It doesn't look like I did. So I'm on master. Let me just quickly change to develop. Hold on a second. What is this all about? Right. So let me just do quick cleanup here, as it looks like we are on the wrong branch first of all. So actually what I'm gonna do is, okay, that is still building. Excellent. I'm actually going to stash all of these changes. Oh, it looks like there is a new option in there. I've never seen it before. So it looks like you can just stash all changes directly from there. I think it's just a new git lint option. Just going to call it cleanup. And as you can see, the changes have been stashed for me, which is brilliant because now I can actually switch the branch. I can check out develop, and it fails obviously because on develop we actually installed Firebase and we added some environment variables in there as well. So whilst this is downloading, do you remember? I don't know if anybody was actually on that live stream when I was trying to install. I think I was trying to install Firebase, and that just killed the camera speed completely. The camera was just stuck forever. It was just running so slowly that it was almost impossible to stream. And I decided to actually upgrade my hardware and do a few upgrades to the settings and things so that you can enjoy the stream, because otherwise it was a nonsense. It was impossible to to stream, and everything was very laggy and slowed down. So if you face any problems like that, please do let me know, and I'm definitely going to resolve it, as obviously I'm trying to make these streams as enjoyable for you guys as possible. And this is the main reason why I'm actually doing it, right? It has to be enjoyable for you, and then we can build that kind of interaction. Okay, excellent. So we still have the app running. We are on develop. We've got our Firebase in place. Which is perfect. The problem is I cloned this repo fresh from our GitHub, and as you can see, there is no .env file. Even more, there is no .env.example file, which should be committed in the first place. But oops. I held command and clicked that thing there. So this is what it has to be. And as you might already know, I do use .env extension, which highlights or colors the syntax within .env files. Okay, so I'm going to put some example values in here because this is a .env.example file. The reason why we need this file is, as you can see, I got a fresh clone. The repo got cloned from scratch, and I don't have the .env files, right? So I don't know what the values are, and .env.example actually tells me what the values are. Obviously, these values are not real. These values are just the examples. These are just the placeholders to make sure that you've got those files within your .env file. Okay, so now what we are going to do, oh, it is already ignored, so that's pretty much what it has to be. So .env should be ignored from Git, because you want to hold your real values in here. You want to hold the values that are super sensitive, super secure, and nobody should actually see them. Right, this is the idea. But for the demo purposes, I'm just going to fulfill this with some dummy values. Doesn't really matter. And obviously I want to have this in the example file, so whoever jumps on the branch will know exactly what values are required. And as you already know, I do like to add the commit messages in past tense. So I do explain what happens. I do explain what I did and then what happened. So I added, I refactored, I changed, I updated, right, yeah, so that kind of thing, which is great. Right, so another thing. Okay, so we know that the app is running, which is great. Obviously, it's not really connected to Firebase right now. And the reason for this is because the values are just fake, right? Excuse me. So the values, so these values are not real. I'm going to do it off the screen, because obviously I don't want you guys to know my keys and my values, the secure keys. So I'm going to do it off the screen at some point, maybe between the episodes, or at some point I'm just going to update it. But for now, we are going to be focusing on Redux. So Redux is our next desired. Oops. Yeah, so Redux is our next desired tool. Redux. What Redux is? Okay, so the reason why we've been using front-end frameworks, and the reason why there are so much complexity on the front end nowadays is because we always wanted to have a way of dynamically updating the UI, right? So we always wanted to have this ability of getting some sort of data from the server and updating that particular part of the UI. And it's very tricky because you have to manage the state, you have to manage the values, and you have to know when things should update and when things should re-render. And obviously, because it's all kind of because it's all a single page application, then you don't have to reload the entire page to get that particular part of your app updated, right? And the great thing about the modern frameworks is that it allows you to actually update that particular bit, especially with React or React Native, because React is based on the virtual DOM, and it knows exactly what part of the code has changed. So then it knows exactly where to update it, and that gives you just unbelievable performance boost, which wasn't possible in the past, simply because we were relying on a static DOM, and obviously DOM had to be updated somehow, so the natural way of updating it was to reload the entire page. But yeah, getting back to the state. So what controls what we see is the data, because nowadays the applications are actually data driven and everything is very dynamic, especially within huge applications where you've got multiple collections of multiple entities, and those entities have to be displayed somehow, and obviously the front-end code bases have to be maintainable at the same time. So you don't want to copy and paste the same sort of pattern all over again. You just want to have one template and update it dynamically. So the data which we get from the server side, from the backend through the APIs or however you get it, has to be or should be stored somewhere, right? You don't want to be getting the data every single time something updates, because first of all, you would have to make a tremendous amount of calls to the API, bombarding the server with different calls, killing the performance of the server first of all, but secondly, overkilling the front end as well, because all you want to do is to get to that part of the app or of the screen, of the page, of whatever, and make a call, get the information for that particular part, or make a series of calls to the API to get the data for particular components. And then you want to store it somewhere, right? You want to cache this data for the time being. So when the user navigates around and they get back to this page, not necessarily they would have to refresh it. Sometimes you might want to cache the data for a bit longer. Sometimes you want to have some sort of data in your storage, let's call it, just so it's accessible, just so whenever the user navigates between the screens, it doesn't get lost. And with React and React Native, the principle of components is that they do come with the local state, okay? And that state get lost as soon as the user navigates away from that component. So as soon as that component gets destroyed, the local state is no longer available. But you might want to have it available for different components, right? And then, okay, you might think and you might say, well, but what about event bubbling or something like that? So whenever you get to that component would just send the event app and update the state of the higher order, right? Of the higher component. And then that would mean that if there was the information that you wanted to share between all of the components, then that would mean that every single component would have to share the same logic to bubble the event up to the higher component and update the state of the higher component. But instead, there is a solution to that. So instead, we can actually use Redux. And Redux is the state management tool, which means that you can actually hook something into your app, which gives you the ability of caching, storing, saving, however you call it, data, which then is available for you from another component level, right? So you can use one component to dispatch some sort of action and save the result to the store, to the state management, to Redux. And then another component on another screen, completely not related, can actually use Redux methods to get this information from the store, which means that your data is centralized and reusable, which is actually very nice. Obviously, there are certain bits and bobs which you don't want to store in the state management, because there are some things which belong to the local state of that particular component, which might be, I don't know, some sort of temporary value which changes when the user puts some input, and you don't need that value to be stored anywhere because it's just kind of right there, right now, temporarily saved. And then as soon as that component gets destroyed or unmounted, you want that data to be gone. You don't want to be caching every single thing, because it's just not necessary. What is necessary is the data that is reusable, and you might need to access the data from multiple components, right? So multiple components would have the access to that data, and that means it's actually needed for them. So let's take a look at one sec. Let me actually quickly check the health of the stream, because this is very important for me. Since I had some issues recently, I want to make sure that that the health is still okay. Okay, I just got the page. I just got a page opened. Just got the page opened. With the stream status, which is great. And now, okay, let me bring this up here and let's Google Redux first, right? Let's see what it does, how it is constructed, if you like, how it works, and how we are going to be using it. So first things first, we have to install it. I'm gonna do it in a minute. There is a starter kit or some basic examples. So you basically create a store, then you create some actions. Then you create some reducers, and obviously you have to initialize it, and then you run some sort of actions, and those actions do whatever you like, right? So mainly, I mean, you can use the store for several types of data and several types of actions. It really depends what you are doing and what you need it for. The main usage would be for storing the data that you get from the database, for example, right? So you query something through the APIs to get some stuff back from the database, and then you want to save it somewhere. You want to cache that data somewhere within your app scope and get it available, right? But there might be also things like the data which is actually related to the app. So you might want to check the device model, for instance, or I don't know, or the screen width or the screen height, and maybe you want to save it in the store for whatever reason, which is not really an API call, but it's actually an action that you want to dispatch at some point when navigating through the app and saving it in this state, right? But yeah, let's get started with Redux. I'm going to install it, and I'm going to so first of all, I need to install Redux as a library, and then another thing is going to be to add a bridge between React Native and Redux. So we are going to be able to use Redux within our React Native app. Not sure if React Redux, you can see that that's what it's called. The good thing about Redux is that you can actually use it for React as well. So for example, if you have your React Native app combined with your web app, because you can go for React Native web as well, and then you can share the store between web and native apps, which is brilliant because that just makes the entire code base more reusable, and this is definitely what we want, right? Okay, so let's kill the process, and you can see that the app has gone red. I'm actually wondering what React Native version we are on. This is SDK 31. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to check Expo SDK, as I have a feeling that our SDK is already out of date. 31. 31 is the one we are using. I have a feeling that there is a newer version. Version 32, that's still based on React Native 57. There is React 59.2 out there right now, so I would actually like something closer to that version, because I realized from that error screen that it's already old. I've been using React 59 today, all day, and I got used to that kind of new black see-through error screen, which is gorgeous. Not sure still what version they're on. But this is not helpful either. There you go. There is a note about the conference in Krakow in Poland next week. This is where I'm going, and I'm going to meet a friend over there as well. We're going over there together for for those 2 days actually. So definitely looking forward to it. Interesting. Anyway, I'm not gonna be getting into this now. Might just do it during the break to see what is the latest SDK. Right now I'm going to Redux and React Redux to our repo. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So the package.lock should get removed, as we're not using npm, we are using yarn. And that warning up there said that it shouldn't be actually mixing up two different package managers, which is obviously, I guess this is just should be at least a normal thing to do. We don't want to be mixing multiple things. We want to focus on one thing, and that's it. Anyway, there you go. So we've got our Redux and React Redux, which is great. Now we just need to go to their docs and just follow the the examples, or hello. I think the stream health has gone down a little. Okay, I think it's back to normal, although the music has stopped. There we go. We're back. Okay, anyway. Right, so first things first, let's set up the Redux store. So as you can imagine, we do have, our app. God. This is struggling right now. Not sure what is happening. There are not that many things running. I think it's just... But anyway, let me just quickly explain what we are gonna be doing now. So, as you know, we've got our app here, right? We've got our files over there, and we just need a way of injecting I'm actually going to close the live chat of YouTube. I think that could help. I've got a Slack open as well, so let me just close a few apps just to make sure things are gonna be a bit smoother. I'm going to refresh the device as well. Okay. I'm not sure what slowed me down so much. I think it's this, whenever I install a new dependency, it just slows me down so much. It's ridiculous. But things should be back to normal in a moment. And yeah, let's get back to where I was. So we need a way of injecting the store between the app and the rest. Sorry, between the main component and the rest of the app. Right, so we just need some sort of middleware almost to inject that store to the app, right? Because we want Redux methods, we want Redux actions and everything else to be available for us from every single component. So here we go. Okay, I'm just taking a look at what it is. So what they did is that they created everything related to the store in the app file, right? So they used this file. Do you know what? I'm actually going to kill a couple of processes here because it feels like things are just a bit slow. So they used, basically what they did, they used this file to define the store, and that's not particularly what I do like to do, right? So instead I would rather create a new folder or directory within our lib, within our library, and then I'm going to create a index.js file in there, right? So this sounds a bit more functional in a way. And what we want to import is the provider and create store. Okay, so I'm actually going to import create store first, because that is just we want to import Redux first, then React Redux, pretty much. And then we want to create the store. We want to define a constant and create store with the reducers, right? We can call it root reducer or reducers. Maybe reducers is going to be a bit better. And this is going to be imported from reducers. So we want to have another folder within our store called reducers. Reducers, this is actually every time I've been working with Redux, this has been so confusing for me, and I don't know why and how the hell they named it like this. Because reducers to me mean that they reduce something. Okay, maybe they do. Maybe they just get some sort of data and they allocate it to the right places, reducing the rest. But it's not really what it does, I don't think. I mean, for me, reducers are more like data schemas. And they're not just the schemas, but it's the data structure of your store. So it's the data... well, I mean, it's a bit of a mixture. So it's actually the data structure and then the actual logic for what you do with the payload of your action and how you store it within those data structures. So it's a mixture, but reducers have always been very confusing to me, and I don't particularly like that name. But anyway, so okay, we've got our root reducers. We create the store, and we're going to export it. Okay, we can actually say export default store. So we don't really need that here because that is going to be used within our app file. So let's just save it. So then within our, I think I should do it like this. Okay. So I'm going to import the store from the store. Okay. So basically what I did, I just moved this this 3 lines away from the app file, and I kind of separated that concern to another file to make sure that I can now import it to this file. Let me see. So what I have to do, as you can see, I have to wrap the app with the provider, which is a class from React Redux, and then I have to pass the store to it. Hope that makes sense. So provider passes the store down, which we only just imported. So we want to import provider from our React Redux. And then we've got our store imported, and we just pass it down here. Let's save it a few times just so it nicely formats the file for us, and then we can start yarn again, start our bundler, and make sure that we can still run the app. There is gonna be a problem, obviously, because I haven't defined a single reducer. So the reducer is basically just an empty file, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna complain about it. There is more to it, as you can see. There are just some middleware loggers, which we are going to add next. And as you can see, they're also moving the entire logic away. Okay. There is a good chance that the app is going to crash, as the reducer is empty. There you go. So what we can actually do here is we have to import reducers. Let's just take a look at the basic reducer. So what I quite like to do is to define the initial state of this particular reducer, right? Because it's a main file. I'm just going to do it over here for the demo purposes, as I already know that this is going to grow, so we are going to move it away, but because we are running out of time for this episode, I'm going to do it in here. So the initial state is what you define to be in your state management. This is your data structure, basically. Okay, so if you can imagine, for example, your store. So let's say this is your store, and your store, hold on, let me just do it like this so we can have multiple lines of comments. So your store could be something like this, okay? And then let's imagine you have some sort of reducers related to account, and then maybe you will have something related to users. You might have something related to your app, and I think that's enough for now. So because it's the main reducer, this is it. So the main reducer is just the root object, the root entry of your store, okay? And you might want to have something like I don't know, maybe you might want to check if the user is authenticated, this and that, whatever. But for now, I'm just going to add a timestamp. Okay. So basically, your store is going to have a timestamp, and this is going to be your date, here, right? So this, and because we don't have this reducers yet, it's going to be looking like so. So this is going to be your store. Okay, so now we're going to export a constant called root reducer, and this is going to be a function. So, sorry, state action. So as you can see, a reducer is actually a function which takes the state and the action. So the state you can default to our initial state, and the action is what you will see in a second. So then, because there could be multiple actions, and because you can do multiple things to this root reducer. So for example, when user logs in, do something. When user navigates to that screen, do something. When user clicks the button, do something. When user logs out, do something. Those are 4 different actions which can actually manipulate this particular part of the store. In this case, root reducer. So you want to handle it somehow, and there is actually a better way of doing this, because you can do you can actually do code destructuring. Or to make it a bit more clear, I'm going to call it like this, and then I can actually do payload and type, and this is coming from the action. So then you know that you switch the type, and this is your case. So whatever you call that type, let's call it, I don't know, update timestamp. And then what you do is that you return a new object which takes the previous state, which is the initial state in our case, and you can do something with it. So you can do timestamp payload. Okay. And by default, you return the state. Sorry. Okay, so let me just explain it to you quickly. There is going to be another thing that we want to do actually up here. It's going to be called the type. So update timestamp. Update timestamp. And this is actually going to be the other way around. So we're going to call it like this. And this is going to be our action. Our type, sorry. Which is actually going to be it's going to be another thing within our store. Just going to call it index. Everything is going to be index for now. You will see how we are going to change it later. But okay, this is it. So we export it and we can import it here. Update timestamp from types. Okay, so then whenever we update it here, everything gets updated. So we don't have to do it everywhere. It's just a single source of truth, which is exactly what we want. And then, okay, let me explain it to you. So we export this root reducer, which takes the state as an argument and the action. So by default, the state argument gets defaulted to what I quite like to define above. So then I have, the more properties we add to this, the better visibility of the structure of this particular reducer I do have. So I quite like to define it up here, and then I do know what happens with that particular object later on. Okay, so this is the state. It defaults to our initial state or default state, and then it also takes the action. Now the action has multiple properties, but the most useful ones for us is the payload and the type. Then, as I described earlier, we could have multiple actions happening to that particular reducer. But if you don't think about the reducer as a reducer for now, and you actually think of a user flow. So for example, when user logs in, you want to update the timestamp. When user navigates to another page, you want to do something in this store. Maybe again update the timestamp or do something else, right? When the user clicks on the button, then you want to dispatch another action and you want the store to be updated accordingly. Which means that you will have multiple actions, and those actions have to be handled somehow. So Redux has to know what to do with the state when that particular action gets dispatched. So in this case, we want to update the timestamp. Okay, so this is our action, and this is the type of the action the reducer reacts to, and then knows what to do with it. So when we call this action, we can pass the payload to that action, and then this payload would be saved to this particular place in the store because we defined it. So that's gonna be another thing to add, is the actions. And I'm also going to call it just the index because we're going to refactor it a bit later on. So the action would be, okay, first of all, I do have to import update timestamp from the types. Okay. And now we want to export a constant called update timestamp. I quite like to call the actions after what they do. So either get something, update something, submit something, things like that. So just so the name indicates what type of action it's going to be. And obviously the argument could be the date or the actual timestamp. So whenever you call it from your component, you could pass the timestamp to it. Otherwise, you can just default it to perhaps the current timestamp, right? Okay, and then sorry, there is one more thing to do. Dispatch, and dispatch we want to get. So now yeah, I'm wondering because I'm pretty sure okay, that's interesting. So basically what you want to do is basically do dispatch, and then the type will be your update timestamp, and the payload will be timestamp. Okay, so now this is how it looks. So this is your action, which is going to be accessible from within your components level. So then you can actually do something. Let's see how it works. One sec. And we have to change it to reducers like so. Whoops. Must have done something wrong. As you can see, there are actually describing it exactly the same. So basically, this is what they do. They just use the switch as well. They don't deconstruct, sorry, the objects, which is fine. Quite like to destructure it, but this is, hold on, let me get back to the reducer. Not sure. Maybe I just need to rerun the bundler. Still not ready. Okay. this case, I'm going to console log it. Ah, so this is undefined. Okay, that's interesting. So I'm actually going to change it back to what it was, to be actually fair with you. I'm going to do it slightly differently. So I'm going to export default object, where I'm going to put the root reducer, which I could actually call differently. I could actually call it root and then do root reducer. Could I do it? Maybe not. Okay, so yeah, so now we can actually destructure it, which is still undefined. That's very strange. Do. Interesting. Okay, so I've got the root reducer. Let me just export it like this. Just so. Okay. Okay, here we go. So now we've got the reducer working. It has to be a function, surprisingly. I'm wondering what is what's the reason? 'Cause surely this could be an arrow function as well. Yeah, there you go. So that still works. Not sure, I must have missed something. It's 20 past 8 here. 10 hours of coding today. Quite enjoyable. But yeah, it looks like we've got our store configured, which is great. Now I'm going to actually debug it remotely and see if we can see the store, because that's the main reason for doing this. Doesn't look like I can actually see. Doesn't look like I can actually see. the store working, which means that the provider must be wrong, but it looks good to me. Okay. Surprisingly, the store doesn't seem to be accessible, so I'm going to console log the store and see if it's actually there. Yes, we can console log it, so we can see that it's actually there. Surprisingly, I can't see it within the Redux tools. They don't seem to be the Redux dev tools. They don't seem to be pick it up. Which is surprising, because I can actually console log this store, so I do know that it's being passed, it's being initialized. Wondering if I need to do something extra to enable it. Potentially. I think it should just work out of the box, to be honest. But maybe I'm wrong. We've been going live for an hour and 10 minutes. I need to go for a quick break in a minute. In 5 minutes. Maybe I'm just gonna do a 5 or 10 minute break, and then we'll get back to this. But we can prove that the store is being actually displayed. Not sure why. Let me actually rerun the whole thing. It seems to be a bit weird right now. Okay. That's very interesting now. I think I know what the issue is. I think this could be because I upgraded the OS and Xcode recently, and I think this version of Expo SDK is still running on the old one. Always something. Welcome to development or coding, there is always something to worry about. So whilst this is running, let me just give you an update. So what happened is the fact that React Native cannot see the simulators, iOS simulators, because I think they started calling them differently to what it is in version 57 of React. The reason why it worked a second ago was probably because it was still kind of cached, and probably that's why it worked. But now it says that it cannot find the simulators which are actually there. The workaround for this, as I came across this one previously, and there is a workaround for it. It's a very hacky workaround, but I'm gonna do it only to show you that it works. Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. If I only remembered which folder it was. Oh yeah, I think it's the local. So if we do this, so basically because they name it differently, it used to start with iOS. Now we can change it to, whoop, looks like this is still not the case. This is still something old. Seriously, there is always something. Okay, so it looks like this is the latest one, which is still not going to fix it for me. Maybe we can Google it. Maybe this is something different. As you can see, these are the known issues. People do run to face those issues. Not sure, maybe if I just open this simulator, maybe this is going to fix it. Open the different one. It opened iPhone XS Max. This is not what I ran it on previously. There you go. So I had to open it manually. And yeah, let's change this file back, because you never want to update node modules. Well, you want to update them, but programmatically, not really manually through the files. That is something you never want to do. Okay, that still runs perfect. However, it's still not detected in our React native debugger. I think there might be a case of adding a middleware which starts logging things into the React native debugger. Okay, so it looks like we just need to add another package to our repo, which is the Redux DevTools extension, which will help us to connect it all together with this lovely tab here within our React Native debugger. It's very useful. I do recommend doing so. You don't have to. This is not mandatory to get Redux store running. And as you saw, Redux store was already console logging for us. This is just the additional bit that I do to make sure the React Native debugger is picking it up. So in the meantime, okay, so we want to have we want to get apply middleware from Redux. So basically we are going to extend it with apply middleware, and we also want to import this new extension class member. And then what they do is what we did, but actually extend it with this part. So you still get a reducer, and the second argument for creating the store is this composer with DevTools, where you just apply it. If you have any middlewares, but we can do compose with DevTools. And we can apply the middlewares, but we don't have any middlewares just yet. So we don't actually need it right now. But this is the thing. This is how you do it. This is how you can actually start using it, and this is how you add the middlewares as well, if you have any. And the middlewares could be actually used for multiple things, such as logging. So if you have some sort of logging tool which logs all the warnings and errors for you, then you can use it. Or if you want to persist the store, there are multiple middlewares that you might want to be added to your store. So really depends of the needs. We don't need any middlewares just yet. That's why we are just going to keep it empty. But as soon as we need to start adding the middlewares, we already know what the formula, what what is required for that kind of operation. Okay. Oh, this is actually very slow, isn't it? Slowly bundling. Not sure what happened with the music. Here we go. It's gonna be a quick song. It's only 50 seconds long. That's like nothing. Not sure what is happening. Perfect. And as you can see, now it changed the Redux tab for us as well. And you can see that the timestamp has been updated as we wished, right? So, you know that this was our initial timestamp. What we could do, just to show you how it works, we could actually update the timestamp here, and I could actually call the action from within the app, so whenever we get to the app, that would be updated. Actually, yes, let's do updated false. So this will be our default value. Updated true. Okay. Just to show you how it works, and this is going to be our last task for now. So you can see that it still has the initial state. This never gets called because nothing triggers this particular action type. But we actually do have the action to do so. So we could just call this we could just call this action. We could dispatch it from wherever we want. App navigator. Let me save it. I hate when the things are underlined. But anyway, so let's go to screens and let's open the home screen. And then what we have to do, there are a couple of ways. Well, there are a couple of steps to. Let me change it to pure component as well. So the pure component is basically what you always want to go for. It decides if the component should be updated or not. Export default. Oh, sorry. Home screen. Save. And just to make sure everything still works. So the main thing is that it has to get connected to the store. And connect actually takes two separate arguments, which are the functions as well. Okay. So basically what you want to have is a couple of things. So for example, you can map state to props, which means that you map those values to your props, the props of this particular component. Okay, and this take the state which I'm going to keep it just empty. There you go, map state to props, which can be just an empty function. Then the second one is going to be called map actions to props. And this, or map dispatch, yeah, this is how they call it, so I'm gonna follow it. But it's actually just the action. So this is what you do. And again, it's just going to be an object, so you can call it update timestamp, and this is going to be taken from root actions update timestamp. Right, we don't know what root actions are yet, but we're going to import them. Root actions from lib store actions. The thing is, within our actions, I think this is the only one we've got. Update timestamp. So we can actually do support default okay, perfect. So we've got our actions. So this is it. We want to import connect from our Redux. Am I right or am I wrong? React Redux. Can never remember. I think I missed something. So we want to dispatch and do this. Hold on. Because I'm actually going crazy right here. Dispatch. And then we basically just return Right. So yeah, we can just do this, I believe. Actually, am I right? I think I am. We'll see in a second. But basically now, so what it does, it basically connects Redux to your component, to your local component, right? So now you can access this this prop, which is update timestamp from this props. It's going to say that update timestamp is not doesn't have the prop validated. I'm going to do it quickly. Okay. And let's see what happens. Okay, update timestamp is not a function. And why is that? You can ask. Okay. Actions must be plain objects. Hold on a second. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Yeah, I still don't get why they do something like this. No, this is not right. I think what they do over here is actually overcomplicated. As first of all, this doesn't have to be done like this. As let me think. Let me actually see. So this will be the state, and then timestamp. That's how I would use it. So what I want to do, a timestamp, is basically this. I'm going to actually change it. This is let me get back to actions and see. Maybe I've done something wrong. Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm after. So I don't need the dispatch. I don't need the dispatch there. Oops. Because this is what I want. Update timestamp. Now, let me check. Return. Okay, and then console log root actions. Let me just check it. Let me just check it there. See what it actually does. Update timestamp. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Weirdly, it doesn't get it. Right. Let's see what the problem is. Export default. So clearly, I can just do this. It's going to be the same. Still not the action. Sorry, still not the function. Finally. Although this hasn't been I'm wondering if I could so instead of doing this, if I could actually dispatch the entire object like this, because this would be ideal. Interesting. Yeah, so it does update it, although for some reason it doesn't get dispatched. So okay, so it looks like we just need to dispatch. There we go. This is exactly what I was looking for Christ's sake. So this is what we really need. We have to bind the action. So first of all, we have to import it from Redux, and then we have to bind it to hold on. Oops. This is still not what I was after. Let me just quickly read the docs about connect, because I have a feeling I've been using it wrongly. Connect. Interesting, because if I do this patch here, and then this patch, the action, this patch, and that this patch is the action. Feels a bit weird to do it this way. Yeah. Oh crap. Okay, so technically there is an object returned. Although they say it's not a function. Which doesn't make much sense to me. Actions must be plain objects. I know. I know they do. What if I do this and then but it cannot be done like this. I know it cannot be done like this. Dispatch increment. Okay, there you go. This is what I'm after. So let's say this is type increment reset blah blah blah. I'm just getting tired. I mean, okay, action creators, connect action creators. I think that's probably the thing, I guess. I guess I will have to add a middleware. And this is it pretty much. So dispatch. Okay, so map dispatch to props, dispatch return, blah blah blah. Yes, this is what I was after. Jesus Christ. Bind action creators. I knew I needed it. I'm just getting so tired. Clearly this is not what I want. Okay. Now over here I think we can get back to where we were without this bloody dispatch shit. And this is going to save us at last. Here we go. It took me a while. Sorry guys. I just can't really think straight anymore. So basically you need the bind action creators from Redux. Just to be able to bind your action creators to dispatch. So basically your action creator can be a function which takes some arguments. You don't have to then you know, pass the dispatch down and do some weird things. Instead you just import and assign the action to whatever you want to call it in your props, and then you can use that where you want pretty much. And then as you can see that the action gets called at this point when the component gets mounted and the React native debugger actually logs it. So it shows you what changed to what got updated, and you can see that now the updated updated property inside the state is changed to true. So you can do you know, you can, for example, use it for the loading spinner. So let's say by default you have something set you have loading set to true, and something that you want to fetch is going to be triggered after the component will be mounted. So once you fetch some data, you then just do set this loading to false, and you can stop the loading spinner on your UI, or you can just base other things on this. So for now, I'm just going to add this configuration to our repo, and it's been 2 hours. So I'm going to have a quick break, and then we can actually continue with our live coding, right? With our React. So thanks for watching. See you in a bit. Bye for now.